than ever to make it through the field, especially with the strength of these players. Players putting down their prize cards. Pretty standard, nothing too...
Yeah, I like these very much. I think we're going to have a great opening game here, as both players will not be missing any of those cards too much.
Nope. And with both of these X2, you want to make sure that you're having that solid start. Ways to find the Empoleon Noah, and of course for Tyler, just managing to get the engine going, but time to hop into the game. A comfy start that's definitely nice, and pair it with that Battle VIP pass. Well, things definitely starting off on the right foot.
Yeah, this is fantastic here, as Tyler is going to go first and has the ability to use his Comfy's ability. And you got to get those cards in the Lost Zone early and often.
Yep, and being able to go for the Battle VIP pass, grab another Comfy, grab something like a Ninja, the Radiant Greninja, to maybe see a couple more cards is definitely nice, and that's exactly what we're going to see it grabbed here. You have the way to, this will be 2 cards in the Lost Zone if you, as long as you get the swap in the Radiant Greninja, get a couple of more cards to make sure that this first turn goes flawless.
And we'll see plenty of basic energies featured on Tyler's side, so getting the Radiant Greninja early is awesome here. It doesn't really matter where the energies are as long as they're not in the Lost Zone. So throwing them in the discard means that eventually you will find them by way of cards like that Energy Recycler or an Ordinary Rod, which are 2 of in this list. And sure enough, Tyler's not done. Second Battle VIP.
Grabbing that off of the concealed cards, of course. This is the only turn you can use it, and being able to get this bench filled up with a bunch of variety with this LostBox and what it features is nice. Cramorant and this Oranguru the second time. The Oranguru is so nice in this consistency with that Primate Wisdom, and of course the Cramorant. You get free attack once you get 4 in the Lost Zone.
I am very envious of Tyler's deck. The drip is unreal. So many golden cards, the Oranguru. And look at this. Gonna see 2 more golden cards, the double scoop up net.
1 for the Lost Zone, 1 for the hand, scooping up the active Comfy and managing to put the other one into active to go for the second flower selecting. The energy is also on point, and this first turn is looking pretty nice as an energy onto the active Comfy, retreat that out. This will be 3rd flower selecting.
Wow, and then we see the Colress's Experiment added to the hand here, got to the magic 3 that he needs to get to on this turn, and now doesn't have to worry about potentially the Empoleon shutting out the ability. The double Colress Experiment follow-up here could lead to some turn 3 fireworks.
You were talking about the 3 being a really nice number if you can see that the first time around, and Tyler hitting it is so nice, especially with Noah starting his turn off by benching that Empoleon V. Close to follow, quick balling away the Articuno. We got to see a lot of that over in Toronto, but it's just going to be bent this time around.
I think Noah had the Empoleon in his hand and chose to start Sobble, which is really peculiar. Would have been able to avoid any of the flower selecting. Instead, now stuck with the Sobble in the active spot, and the hand's not that good. He's completely relying on the Drizzile to help out here.
Yeah, I mean, the Sobble, at least it does have that access to keep calling to get some more Sobble so things can be going. But the thing is then you're still letting your opponent play through and have all of their abilities, have these Comfies, have ways to be drawing into cards. Serena, get rid of a couple of cards, drawing into 3 energies.
No! Yeah, that's, you just drew a capacious bucket. That's not very good. At least we'll see the Empoleon in the active spot now, but the Drizzile has to help out here in getting the setup to go a little bit further. And Emperor's Eye's not doing as much as it could have on that opening turn.
Yeah, there's already 3 in the Lost Zone, and with the Colress's Experiment played down as Tyler starts his turn, that's then going to be brought up to 5. Cramorant online, and that's 1 Colress's Experiment away of being able to get that Mirage Gate available on that next turn. Zigzagging be thrown away at 5. I mean, shutting down this LostBox on the first turn would have been nice because this is already a good amount of cards.
Yeah, this is the dream. The hand is almost at 10 cards already. You can see where multiple energies are. Hasn't had to lose too many valuable resources to the Lost Zone. An opportunity to find a retreat or use one of those switching cards and get the Cramorant going potentially, but I guess the ability is shut down there. So we'll just stick with the original plan, which is wait for a Mirage Miracle here on the next turn.
The amazing Raikou gonna be making its way out thanks to this quick ball. We talked about the fact that this Lost Zone deck from Tyler has a couple of different attackers, and that Raikou, 120 damage, 120 to a benched Pokemon is really nice.
All right, we'll see what Tyler is going to do in this spot. I don't think he has to do too much, honestly. Just the energy attachment lined up for next turn. If the Colress experiment is there, we will see number 7 into the Lost Zone, and all of the pressure shifts back over to Noah here.
Especially with the attackers that Tyler has. Once that Mirage Gate's online, there's so much energy, so much acceleration. It'll be fantastic. Noah, Drizzile in hand, is going to evolve that and be able to go for shady dealings, be able to grab a trainer card from the deck.
One of the better top decks there, the Irida was added to the hand now. If there is a way to get the second water energy into the discard pile, then we could see enough energies accelerated by way of Star Portal from Palkia VSTAR to get the Empoleon attacking, but going to go for this Marnie here and maybe go for an alternate route as, you know, Tyler's got a big hand, and if any of those cards are Colress's experiment, that is a nightmare.
Especially with the 4th Colress's experiments being ran, one used with a bigger hand, there's definitely the potential for that to be sitting there. So get rid of it. Try and slow down this LostBox as much as possible. The Marnie Evolution Incense, Capacious Bucket, and eyeing up that Capacious Bucket just to go grab some of these water energies.
Tyler might be my new favorite player. The deck is fantastic with all of the golden cards, but didn't even look at the hand as as he draws the Marnie, and his opponent just continues the turn. You give no information away to your opponent there, and it's very cool to see.
Well, 2 now grabbed from the Capacious Bucket. Noah has to just pass it on over to Tyler.
Did he just top deck the Colress experiment?
Colress's experiment coming on out, and with that, sure, grabbing the 3 extra cards in your hand is going to be nice, but most importantly, the 2 that are going to be thrown away into the Lost Zone, so you can now go ahead and use that Mirage Gate, get one of these attackers boosted up and ready to go.
He found an air balloon as well. If the Mirage Gate's in hand, this is fantastic. I don't see it.
There's a lot of bling in that hand, but I don't think the Mirage Gate is one of them. Concealed cards, another chance to try and draw into it, but it's not there. Yep,
the Emperor's Eyes works on all of the Pokemon without the rule box. With the rule box, you're going to be okay. So Radiant Greninja going to continue to draw through, and this is going to be the turn 4 not miracle. It's we just see the energies slowly going on to the Raikou.
Training card one out, but without that Mirage Gate, what you had in luck with getting that Colress's experiment ends right there. Inteleon Evolution, go for a little more of the shady dealings and grab 2 trainer cards out.
And immediately, Boss's orders being eyed up there. Raikou is maybe not long for this world, as Noah understands that that threat is certainly there.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you can get these attackers out of the way, as that just manual energy attachment. I mean, next turn it will be up and ready to go. Sure, Cerulean Tail is not the most damage, but this case just needs to do enough.
And we see the Quick Ball as well. Need to consider getting the additional Sobble or maybe a little more draw here. And going to go for the Radiant Greninja, thinking about now, especially because you can get that 3rd water energy into the discard. I believe this is number 3, and that means you will get maximum impact from that Star Portal.
An Evolution Incense to find the Palkia VSTAR. Make use of that VSTAR hour. So strong with being able to accelerate those energies from the discard pile onto the water Pokemon, and make sure that you can be swinging this time around. Concealed cards first, a couple of more bosses in hand, and eyeing up that amazing Raikou.
Yep, and I'm curious to see where the energies go here off the Star Portal. You could just go for the energies onto a Pokemon, even like the Inteleon there, but gonna scoop that up, value the resource of being able to find continued draw, and go for the slower play of attacking with the Empoleon here.
2 onto the active, eyeing up the 3rd, potentially onto the benched Empoleon here. Of course, the drawback of the Empoleon attack is you do have to move an energy from the Pokemon to a benched Pokemon. So this way you can start kind of chain the Empoleons up potentially, or line up where you want energy to go. It is going to be onto the bench Empoleon V.
Yeah, I think this is still 100% correct. Just being able to keep the Emperor's eyes going. You have double Empoleon V, so if you are able to just bounce between the two Pokemon, they just continue to give each other the energies necessary. No need to go into a super defensive position, and instead you're still going to lock out your opponent from getting some additional draw here. And we saw that the hand wasn't terribly strong for Tyler, even though he did find the Colress Experiment, wasn't able to find the Mirage Gate.
Does have the Ordinary Rod, though, so that attacker that was lost last turn can have another lease on life being brought back. There's a couple of different attackers in at this deck. The Raikou, you have the Rayquaza. One of the Rayquazas was thrown into the Lost Zone earlier, so you'd have to be so careful with those attackers. Make sure you have a way to get them back.
Yep, and that is going to be something that we see quite often. Just continue to reuse the Pokemon that's beneficial in this matchup, and not even going to shuffle here. We know exactly what we want to find here off this quick ball.
Yeah, we got that out of the discard pile for a reason.
Let's see what else is potentially found here. It looks like all of the Mirage Gates are hanging out. 3 of them clumped together there.
And I believe 2 concealed cards already used for this turn. It's rough because you have that 7 in Lost Zone. You put in that effort to get to that point. You had such a strong first turn, and being able to get the 3, almost a free first turn because of the fact that your opponent didn't play down the Empoleon V till second turn around. The Ihan is going to be the supporter for turn. It's nice for grabbing an energy discard, but at least now you'll be able to go and find the Mirage Gate and be able to get to that number 3 energies onto that Raikou.
Yeah, we're not playing around anymore. Here is the Mirage Gate, gonna load up the Raikou. Should be a pretty simple knockout here as you want to remove this Empoleon as early as you can. Thankfully, it does have that lightning weakness.
Yeah, and that lightning weakness would be so huge, and just managing to take that out. It's unfortunate there's another one lined up on the bench, but if you can be ahead in the prize trade and make sure that you always have an attacker that's ready to go, then it should still be okay.
And also, not to scoff at, the Sobble is sitting there as well, so you could potentially just remove that and leave your opponent in a spot where they are completely reliant off the top of the deck or whatever's in their hand.
And they can be huge. You've seen with these Inteleon builds that the multiple Sobbles, just how tricky that can be, and the fact that once you take one out, well, there's 2 other Sobbles there waiting. But that lone Sobble put down, be a tricky situation. The amazing shot, 120 to the active with weakness for the KO, and the Sobble also going to be gone.
Yep, nice spot there. Tyler going to go ahead and take 3 prize cards. Noah doesn't have to worry about energies, so should be able to continue attacking with the Empoleon V here. The training court is in play, does have an energy in hand as well, but maybe can use one of those for the Radiant Greninja to continue to build the hand.
Going to go ahead and grab one of those energies off the training court, the discard, and throw it right back there. Concealed cards, Articuno and Water Energy drawn off.
Yep, Articuno not exactly the best Pokemon in this matchup. You end up taking the knockout half the time, and the paralysis is completely useless. And it's nice when you can incorporate Pokemon, even if you could work in the Radiant Greninja at some point and start sniping. But it's hard to get the energies accelerated after you've already used Star Portal.
Yeah, and with 3 energies being taken off, with the Empoleon last turn being taken away, sure, you will be able to get enough energy onto the Empoleon V to attack next time around. You need to make sure you have an answer from there. That'll be energy number 3 put onto the active. You need to have a follow-up. Eyeing up another Sobble that's in hand.
It's going to feel comfortable benching this, but this means that if the Raikou is found for a 3rd time, then that's very bad news. Unless, of course, there was a card like Manaphy, but I don't even think that's featured in this list. Yeah, I don't see it.
No Manaphy, so you're putting a lot of trust in the fact of your opponent's just not going to have it. 2 ordinary rods over on Tyler's end, so there's definitely the capabilities of grabbing it back. The ordinary rod first, though, for Noah. Have an Empoleon, a Jezile, and a couple of energies to throw them back into deck.
Yeah, the Radiant Greninja also isn't worried about being knocked out by the Raikou. This is a complete disregard for the Raikou coming back a 3rd time, and it might just be a calculated risk at this point, understanding that if it does happen, I wasn't going to win anyways.
Yeah, that you kind of lost enough steam if the active Empoleon goes down that you're just going to prioritize your own setup. If your opponent has it, well then he has it. If not, well then I have something to try and play around with next turn, as it is going to be Empoleon V taking down at that Raikou second time around, and put Tyler here in position where I'll have to see if he can get there.
Yep, the Swirling Slice going to move that energy to the Radiant Greninja, and no understanding that there is an opportunity to take multiple prize cards there. If these energies can get accelerated, you can do a double knockout on a Comfy perhaps, and start to close the gap here of the prize race.
And sealed cards for 2.
Oh wow! Found Raihan.
So great, getting energy attached. Rajgate also in hand, but gotta look for an attacker. Escape rope.
And
This
is big. The escape rope means that the Empoleon V is no longer in the active spot, obviously. And that means that opens up for some additional plays here. The flower selecting is so big, as this could potentially get into a spot where you get 10 cards into the Lost Zone. And that opens up this really good attacker called Sableye.
Yeah, that's so nice. Emperor's Eye is only good while it's in the active, so now Flower Selecting back online and only 3 away from Magic 10.
These cards are so good. He's got the Quick Ball, which could maybe be incorporated into an ordinary rod with the Raikou, but he's also got a way to move this Comfy and get to the Air Ballooned Comfy and continue to draw. So big decisions here.
That's it with the Flower Selecting. Sometimes it gives, sometimes it takes. Scoop up net onto the active Comfy to throw the Air Balloon one into the active and go for Flower Selecting number 2 on this turn. Scoop up net, and I believe Sableye?
Yeah, it's now we'll really get an understanding of if Tyler thinks that this is possible this turn. Could he go for the Raikou? Gonna throw away the Sableye. Add the scoop up net.
Other Comfy going down onto the bench. The chain continuing as the retreat comes out. Mistake decision yet again. 2 energies, just what energy you want to be valuing.
And Tyler says, ooh, I'm at 9. That opens up some windows here, as I'm going to get some magic number 10 there. Sableye would be an available Pokemon to start using. I think a Psychic Energy is in hand. The Quick Call could go find the second Sableye that should be in the deck still. And then you could target down perhaps double Sobble and only need 1 prize card to close out the game. And I'm really curious if the cards are there to bring the Raikou back, but I don't think it's possible.
Doesn't quite look like it. There's a lot of cards, but there's a couple of other attackers that this deck has. This Rayquaza being one of them.
Yep, amazing rare Rayquaza added. I think the Sableye is in hand there, so not nearly as big a flower selecting as we may have thought. Yeah. But this is nice, going to be able to search back plenty of these energy cards, and being able to line up knockouts with just a Psychic Energy is really strong.
Yeah, and now that you have that 10 in the Lost Zone, I mean, the whole thing with the Empoleon V was to slow that down, not let your opponent get to this point where the Sableye is online and be going for all of that damage. And with the Sobbles that are so tempting to just go for it as well, it could be a tricky spot.
I think the energies could be a little telling of which Pokemon we want to close out with at this stage. Well, let's just go for all 5 of them and leave all our options open. I love it.
I love that. Yeah, the amazing rare Rayquaza. I mean, a Grass, a Lightning, and a Fighting is going to be benched down. Got to make sure you have a little of everything. Love seeing so many colors in a deck with all the energy that you can run thanks to the Mirage Gate.
All right, looks like the Rayquaza is going to be the Pokemon that's featured here. And get perhaps a larger knockout than the 2 little Sobbles.
Yeah, there's a couple of Pokemon over on that bench in the Mirage Gate to start getting that powered up Lightning Energy and a Fighting Energy thrown onto it. There's the Grass to complete the trio, and the scoop up net to grab this Comfy out.
We'll see if there's a way to move a different Pokemon into the active position. Otherwise, it would just be that knockout on the Radiant Greninja, but you'd love to think that if you could take multiple prize cards here, you would.
Yeah, I mean, The Radiant Greninja, definitely nice, so Noah can't be drawing into cards, but considering the amount of damage you can be doing with this amazing burst, discarding all energy from the Pokemon to 240. There it is, boss's orders. That is going to be the Empoleon V brought up in the amazing burst to take the KO.
That is fantastic. Lined it up perfectly, has the Sableye benched as well, and is going to just try to line up one final knockout here. Two small Pokemon in those Sobbles. Would have to see plenty of scoop up nets and a lot more go right if Noah were to find an avenue to victory.
You have the Radiant Greninja thrown into the active slot. There is a Drizzile in hand. Tyler's taken a lot of momentum going into this. Now we just have to see where Noah can pick up the pieces, grabbing a water energy from the discard off of the training court, looking at attaching it onto that active Radiant Greninja.
Noah does have multiple Raihan in the list, so we'll be able to attack with the Radiant Greninja, get the prize cards, but the problem is you're not going to be disrupting the hand, and I think Tyler's holding on to a lot of cards right now that lead to victory.
Yeah, being able to have that flower selecting online last time around and be able to get everything you need and a little more was definitely nice for Tyler.
We'll see what other possibilities there are.
Let's see. Can I check your discard again?
And Noah's going to want a little more information to go along with it, because this is a big spot here. Of course, could get down to just 2 prize cards remaining, but how do you close out from this stage? The energy acceleration is looking rough here as you're using a lot of resources to even keep up at this stage. And without the Empoleon, that was a way to just get continual knockouts. Maybe you're going to have to work in the Palkia VSTAR at some point.
It's going to be a Drizzile found off of the Evolution Incense. Make sure that you have access to yet another Shady Dealing to go for another trainer card. Set yourself up for the best case scenario, but then what is it at this point?
Well, you can hope your opponent doesn't have a way to move this Rayquaza, doesn't find another Mirage Gate, and maybe you just leave that Pokemon in the active spot while you just pick away at the bench, but that's asking a lot.
Especially at this point in the game too, with resources spent and a lot of your hitters over on Noah's end taken out, eyeing up Evolution Incense off of the Shady Dealings.
I don't think these cards are terribly impactful. It's just about having one additional turn here to evolve both of these Drizziles, get them out of range of a Sableye knockout, and you really need Tyler not to have a way to switch this Pokemon or use the Mirage Gate to get one final attack off.
Yeah, Raihan to attach and go ahead and grab a card. The Thornton brought to hand for next turn.
And we will see the knockouts here. Gonna pick away the Sableye and the Comfey. That means that the Sableye is no longer available, as it is one in the Lost Zone and one in the discard pile. But looks like we see another Raihan added to the hand here for Tyler.
So nice and being able to accelerate these energies at this point. And Mirage Gate, I believe, grabbed off of that concealed card. So here's Ordinary Rod. Go ahead. Have some energies back in.
Yeah, that's going to be it.
Instantly making their way back onto that amazing rare Rayquaza. Take the KO and take game number 1.
Yeah, fantastic there. Found all the cards, thinned the deck down as best as possible. And even though the Mirage Gates were tough to find at the beginning of the game.
It's going to be 3 Irida in the prizes. It's going to be 1, though, in that Radiant Greninja hiding there in the prizes this time around.
This is the first time we've ever had a mulligan at the prize cards here. And what a nice one it is. I guess it is pretty bad to have the Radiant Greninja there, but you're going to like to see those Iridas.
What would you rather, the 3 Iridas in the prizes or the Greninja in the prizes?
It's tough because we understand how important that Radiant Greninja is to this setup. Getting the additional water energies into the discard pile is actually kind of difficult with this deck because it doesn't have a lot of ways to discard cards. So we could see that energy drought once more, and it really did affect Noah as he wasn't able to find a lot of relevant attackers at the end game.
Also, not the greatest end for Noah here with the fact that it's going to be this Articuno in the starting spot. That is no Empoleon, and of course, Articuno, we didn't see it last time around. This is not really the matchup for it.
Yep, and what other Pokemon do we have just going to be playing it safe here? Go with the Drapion with the Choice Belt. This is absolutely not the ideal hand. I would have loved to start with that Palkia VSTAR and move on.
Exactly. Whatever penalty you have to be taking to start a VSTAR, it's certainly better than an Articuno and a Drapion sitting out here going up against this Lost deck, especially staring down this Cramorant. Of course, you only need 4 in the Lost Zone to get that online, so that's very doable on a first turn.
I don't think that Tyler's hand is much better, which is almost impossible. But he's holding on to, is that double Raihan, a bunch of energies and some random attackers? What do you do with this? Energy to Cramorant.
All right, yeah, go ahead and bench one, and that's a pass over his lucky day. Or around.
Battle VIP pass off the top.
One turn too late. This is disaster upon disaster here for the players. The manual attach of the water energy onto the active Articuno at this point. This doesn't look like the Palkia deck that we got to see last time around.
Yeah, this looks like a nice little theme deck at this point. Gonna go for an Ice Wing and just thin out with the Evolution Incense for the Drizzile, hoping to find a Pokemon off the top named Sobble. And you need a lot of help here, both players do. And I guess this is favorable for Tyler, because if we just play like this for 20 minutes, he's going to top 8.
Yeah, I mean, you've already had the one, and if you and your opponent are both sitting there as your Cramorant has 20 damage on it from the Ice Wing, you find yourself in a favorable position. Primate Wisdom to swap one around, but it's going to be a scoop up that's grabbed.
Oh, just a Comfy, anything at this point. Just go ahead and knock out my Cramorant so I can use the Raihan. Do something. But no, not happening here. Training Court added to the hand. No energies in the discard pile. Here we go, Articuno.
Articuno's out there trying its best right now, okay? Second energy attached onto it, this Wild Freeze. We've gotten to see so much of that and how strong it can be with that Paralyze, but at this point it's just hitting for Image, bringing up the amazing Raikou to go ahead and just deal a little bit of damage and get that paralysis.
Articuno almost getting more damage to itself at this stage, and Tyler's just going to continue to use a Rangaroo, I guess, and try to find a way out, but continually not seeing a thing off the top of the deck.
No, you're just kind of praying and hoping that when you go for this Primate Wisdoms that the next card is better than what you're giving up for it. I mean, either player looking in great standing, but Colress's Experiment off of that one, finally a sigh of relief, being able to see this 5, get a couple cards in your hand. Perfect.
I'm not going to have the sigh of relief until I see Comfy, but there is the quick ball. So thankfully, some help there. The scoop up net is in hand. That will make quick work of that paralysis, and maybe Tyler gets something going here. It has been a rough start, to say the least, for both of these players. Wild Style not exactly going to make an impact here.
Crazy to think that before was talking about, oh yeah, these Lost Zones, they can do so much work on the first turn, and this is what we watch is neither deck is necessarily wanting to cooperate at this point, but at least the quick ball to get this Comfy. You can start going for the flower selectings, and even if you just have the one flower selecting this turn, it's a chance to see 2 cards, grab one, and do something.
Yep. Tyler understands that and says, I'm going to try to use this as much as I can, and if you do want to knock me out, you're almost going to knock yourself out in return.
Exactly. At this point, just have to try and make up the lost ground, at least for Tyler. Yeah, it's been a really, really slow start, but the nice thing is that on Noah's end, there's just as slow of a start. You're not staring down a Napoleon V. Sure, you only have 2 in the Lost Zones, but you're able to find this Comfy. You're able to use these flower selectings, and as long as Noah also just keeps not doing much, as long as you're just being a little bit better.
Yeah, and the Escape Rope's a great card here. If you can find another Comfy, then you can use the Scoop Up Net on the Comfy and just continue to draw more cards, see more options with the flower selecting. Going to throw away the Metal Energy, and I believe that the card grabbed was a Quick Ball, so second Comfy could be lined up, and we could start seeing a chain here.
Especially with another Scoop Up Net in hand, so getting rid of that Zigzagoon, go back into the deck to go ahead and grab that second Comfy. Things starting to look up here for Tyler just in time.
And Zigzagoon's a pretty good card for the matchup here. Articuno, if it uses Wild Freeze once more, you can just knock that Pokemon out with the Galarian Zigzagoon and then just attack into another Pokemon later on. So if you see that card being discarded, maybe the rest of Tyler's hand isn't as terrible as you may have thought it was. He really just needed to get the Comfies going.
Double scoop up net off of the flower selecting, so quick and easy choice at that point to throw it away. And now have the 4 in the loss zone. Gonna scoop up the active Comfy, throw another one there. Just put in as much work, as much momentum as you can right now.
Didn't get a look at that. I think the choice was Grass Energy and Colress Experiment. It was, and gonna lose another energy, but at least not multiples of the same type. So Tyler should have an opportunity to work in whichever Pokemon he chooses to attack with in the later stages of this game, but he doesn't want this game to go much further. Going to use Cramorant now and at least take half the hit points of that Drapion V. And are you kidding me, Noah, with the second battle VIP?
That's the worst thing that you could be drawing in this moment, followed by the next worst thing, which is just a pass. Nothing available in hand whatsoever is things. Looking up for Tyler, the Colress's Experiment, and again, that's going to be 7 in loss zone.
I think this is just game at this point. 7 are going to be down. The Mirage Gate is in hand. The Raikou's there as well. You could go ahead and just attack into the Drapion and the Articuno to close out. Just needs to have the right energies lined up, and we do see one of each featured in the Lost Zone, oddly enough. So every single energy is going to need to be there for the Raikou.
Just so close to being able to close this out and make Tyler, for him to make his way into top 8 here. Mirage Gate, to be able to scope out those energies.
He sees it.
He's seeing it. He's eyeing it up. Going to double touch on to this Raikou here at this moment. So close to closing this out.
Yep, there is the second Mirage Gate. Going to be able to grab that grass energy, and it's going to be lined up here with the amazing shot.
Never did I think that this was how it was going to go down. Noah showing the hand just how bad it is as Raikou into the active slot. Amazing shot for game as Tyler takes it in a 2-0.
Oh, Noah the good sport just flips over the next 3 to 4 cards.